Hello and welcome to the Hoop Collective podcast. We talk about the NBA, which we're doing just after midnight on Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning. Joining us from Gainesbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana, where the Pacers put up 130 on the Knickerbockers in Game 4 and have now taken a 3-1 lead in the Eastern Conference Finals, Tim Bontemps.
Better learn how to say the name of this place properly. It's Gainesbridge Fieldhouse, because I think you're going to be here a lot for the next couple of weeks.
What did I say?
You've been saying Gainesbridge the last couple of pods. That's all. Just a funny little joke after a Pacers dominant performance.
I appreciate your checking me. I was one of your finest qualities. Joining us from right here in Oklahoma City, where
The full-time job
for Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals on Wednesday. By the way, Bontemps, sources have told me the band MacMahon has been mistaken in public for both Dave McMenamin and Tim Bontemps in a 12-hour span in the last day.
One of those is an insult, and one of them is me. So it's partially good and partially bad, McMahon.
Howdy, partners. Yeah, those are both true. I did forget about the Bontemps thing. You're very forgettable. That was a wee hours of the morning type of situation, a little post-game situation. The other one was in broad daylight. Both very disappointing.
Almost as disappointing as the Knicks defense in Game 4, Bontemps. But I really don't want to talk about the Knicks out of the gate. I really think we should talk about the masterful performance that we saw from Tyrese Haliburton. There's going to be a debate. I think I can already sniff it in the ESPN ecosystem if Tyrese Haliburton is now a bona fide superstar. I don't know about that, but I do know that this was a superstar performance, Bontemps.
I mean, that would be, even by our standards, that would be dumb. Tyrese Haliburton is a superstar, and Tyrese Haliburton just had as good an offensive performance as you could possibly have in an NBA game. 32 points, 15 assists, no turnovers, 12 rebounds, 4 steals. A truly masterful performance from the opening moment of the game. After he sat at this podium after Game 3 and said he wasn't good enough, he had to be better, and he would be better in Game 4. Not only was he, it's not hyperbole to say that's as good an offensive game as you can possibly have. And yes, the Knicks defense wasn't good enough. And yes, they have to be better if they want to get the series back here to Indiana, let alone to win 3 more games and get to the NBA Finals. But part of the reason the Knicks didn't look good defensively tonight was because I don't know if there's a defense on the planet that would have slowed down Tyrese Haliburton today, because that was a truly special performance by a guy who has repeatedly shown he is a special player offensively as there is in the league. It's why Indiana has had this unbelievable offense the past couple of years with him at the controls. Yes, they've got a lot of good players around him. Pascal Siakam had a phenomenal game. He's a perfect running mate for him. Rick Carlisle's done a great job building this system around him. They've got guys like Andrew Nembhard and Aaron Nesmith and Miles Turner, who all are really good two-way players, can all shoot the 3, give them a lot of space to operate. None of it, though, is possible without Tyrese Haliburton at the controls. And that was just an unbelievable performance to watch, particularly after he said it was all his fault, even though it wasn't, I think, all his fault after Game 3, and said he was going to be better and they would be better. And it was incredible to watch.
We're not participating in like superstar debates for a guy who just went for 32, 12 rebounds, 15 assists, 4 steals without a turnover in an Eastern Conference Finals game. By the way, the second straight year he's been in the Eastern Conference. And hey, I know this. I know Giannis is a superstar. Tyrese Haliburton sending him home. I know Donovan Mitchell's a superstar. Tyrese Haliburton sending him home. I know Jalen Brunson's a superstar. And he looks like Tyrese Haliburton's going to be sending him home. So when you line them up like that and they keep going home at your hands, then yeah. Honestly, like the whole overrated thing, that just means players don't like him. And I like that players don't like him.
You would.
I would. Listen, though, the man talks trash. He's got antics and he backs it up. What's not to love about that? And look, I know there's, oh my gosh, just small market stuff. Tyrese Haliburton is absolutely a marketable superstar who is barging his way onto the biggest stage in basketball, and it should absolutely be appreciated and celebrated.
Not so sure about those suit shorts that he was rolling in the game with tonight. Did he wear that to the podium post game, Bontemps?
I didn't see what shorts he had on coming off the podium, but I would assume it was the same clothes he had walking in the building. I would think.
Listen,
Um,
not everything should be appreciated, celebrated, but the man can hoop.
And the other thing is, this Pacers team is just unbelievably fun to watch. They share the ball. They play really fast. Tyrese sprays the ball ahead. That's why Siakam's such a perfect fit for him, because he's very happy to kick the ball ahead to somebody else and let him attack. And Pascal Siakam has always been a fantastic one-on-one offensive player in the half court. And, when he's able to get a one-on-one matchup and go with his quickness, particularly against a big, and you saw it a few times tonight, he gets a kick ahead and he's got Mitchell Robinson or Karl Towns or one of these guys isolated on him, and they just can't stay in front of him. And that willingness by Tyrese to give the ball up, to kick it ahead, to play with pace, to play fast, everything this team is built around his skill set. And we talked about it a lot at the time, but you go back to that trade with him and Domantas Sabonis.
Yeah.
And sorry, Domantas Sabonis, you've never gotten out of the first round of the playoffs for a reason. He's a very good player, but he has a lot of limitations.
The Eastern Conference versus the Western Conference is slightly different. But
we're not doing both teams won.
He didn't get out of the first.
Won that trade by a landslide.
He didn't get out of the first round with the Pacers multiple times either. And this team has leveled up because Tyrese Haliburton has lifted this offense to a place that nobody can really get to. And you've talked about them for a long time, Brian, the Pacers, and how good they are. And look, obviously, both teams got to get one more win, but it's certainly looking like it's going to be Pacers Thunder in the finals. We've talked a ton about how the relentless pressure of the Thunder defensively wears down the opponents over the course of 48 minutes, right? This is what Indiana does to teams. And Brian, you've talked about this a lot. This is what Indiana does to teams over 1, 4, 7 games in these series. You have to be on at all times. You have to be ready for them at all times. And if you're not, they're getting back cuts for layup. They're getting open threes. They're getting transition layups. And that's what happened to the Knicks tonight. The Knicks stuck around in the game. They scored 121 points. They hung in there. They kept fighting back. But every time they'd get close, they would give up a straight line drive for a layup, or they'd give up an open three because they just weren't quite locked in.
It was kind of like watching the Wolves. Like the Knicks played a quality game tonight. There are some issues which we'll talk about. The Knicks played a quality game. Most nights in the NBA, most nights in the playoffs, their performance tonight was a victory, but not against this team right now. Just like the Wolves' performance last night was similar and not against this team right now.
No, I mean, that's it. And it's what's going to make this finals, if it happens, a really fun, fascinating basketball matchup, because you've got this high-powered, high-octane, frenetic offense going up against this physical, high-octane, frenetic defense. And it's going to be a real mashing of one strength against another. And I think it's got a chance to be super fun to watch. And again, like in this series where you got Jalen Brunson and Tyrese Haliburton going back and forth, you got the MVP of the league and Tyrese Haliburton, one of the most exciting players in the league, going back and forth at the same position. I think it's got a chance to be an awesome, fun ride. And obviously there's still some time left to go in this series. I don't think it's as over as Thunder Wolves is, but you come out of this game, the way Tyrese played, and certainly hard to see the Pacers losing 3 times in a row.
Yeah, so a couple of things about this game. One, you mentioned Siakam. Siakam had 30 tonight. That's between Haliburton and Siakam, they were 22 of 44. Holy hell. I don't know what you're going to do about that. That's just...
You're going to lose. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. The other thing is height, size, and depth. Size and depth, depth and size. That is the name of the game in the current NBA. It was very successful for some teams in the regular season, and it's been successful for some teams in the postseason. The Pacers and Thunder aren't huge, but they definitely have depth, and they definitely have the ability to play, have guys, bigs come off the bench to play multiple positions. And in this game, Benedict Mathurin, who had really given them, he was awesome as a 6-man, as a scorer, as a hellraiser in the regular season. He hadn't given him anything in the postseason. He comes off the bench and has 20 tonight. And
in 12 minutes.
Yeah. Oh my God. Exactly. And so, McConnell is one of the best off the bench guards in the league. Ben Shepherd's role has grown in the postseason. I got to tell you, one of the most incredible stats of the playoffs happened tonight in this game. I don't know if you guys want to take a guess at it. And I'm not talking about Haliburton having.
I was going to say, is this in the non-Haliburton division? Because there's a whole list of incredible Haliburton stats.
I know. After the game, Carlisle like 2 or 3 times was like, "Stop talking about individual stats. This is a team game." And I'm like, "Okay, I got it. Here's a team. It's a team stat." Okay. The Indiana Pacers. Bontemps, you want to take a guess? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
The Indiana Pacers had 5 offensive rebounds in this game. Okay. Not a great night offensive rebound wise. And scored 15 second chance points. Holy efficiency,
wow.
Batman.
Yeah, that's true.
You want to know like a pathway to getting beat? You keep the Knicks had 13 offensive rebounds. The Pacers had 5. The Knicks had 15 second chance points. The Pacers had 15 second chance points. I mean, that's just like that didn't define the game, but that just is an illustration of the way the Pacers were handling their business. You actually get a stop. You get a stop, and okay, they finally miss. Okay, only giving up 5 offensive rebounds, not bad. You give up 15, my God.
I mean, the Knicks lost the game in 2 areas. One, fast break points, 22-9. Obviously, Indiana has dominated in fast break points in the series. The biggest one, though, was turnovers. Knicks had 17 turnovers, led to 20 points, 20-9 advantage for Indiana in points off turnovers. Josh Hart, in particular, had several really bad turnovers. And again, another comparison to the Thunder. If you give up live ball turnovers to this Pacer team, it's already hard enough. They score a lot of times in transition off of made baskets. If they get a steal at half court, which Haliburton got a couple of them live ball, I mean, you're cooked right away.
If Haliburton gets the ball out in the open court with guys running with him, they might miss a 3. Right. But it's going to be a layup or a 3.
They're getting a wide open shot. They just might not make it.
When you're watching the Pacers on TV, it's standard when you're watching on TV that a guy will score and then the television broadcast will sometimes switch to an isolation shot of the player who just scored.
Can't do it.
When the Pacers, they switch to a guy who just scored and the guy's got a look of horror on his face because he's running back on defense because there's a ball's coming right at him.
And you got to be careful doing that because you might miss another bucket.
You're not kidding. You got to be on your toes.
And by the way, one thing about Haliburton is interesting. It's Stats Williams just sent me. Tyrese Haliburton was the ball handler on 25 on-ball screens, where Jalen Brunson was the screener defender in Game 4. In other words, Pacers went after Jalen Brunson just about every time they could. The most on-ball screens defended by a player against Tyrese Haliburton in a playoff game in his career for Genius IQ. So,
well,
the Pacers went at him a lot, and they got a lot of success with it.
All right. I want to look at the raw box score here for just a second. And then I'm going to go over some lineup data on the Knicks. And I just want to say, before we start this conversation, Jalen Brunson is an awesome player. He has had an awesome postseason. Where would the Knicks be without him? They'd be home. Okay? Mm-hmm. In this particular series, in this particular alignment where he plays with Karl Towns, Brunson's potency has been dimmed. Okay, is that a politically correct way to say it?
I don't know if his potency has been dimmed as much as he's just been a total bullseye.
Okay,
because he's scoring.
You're right. But they ain't fair enough. I'm trying to avoid being attacked for saying a bad word about.
Yeah, you're not trying to trash Brunson, but the simple fact is, Rick Carlisle and Tyrese Haliburton have targeted him repeatedly and successfully. And look, it's not a secret. Like, Brunson's defensively challenged, to say the least.
That's why he was a 2nd-round pick. But okay.
He's athletically limited. He's not very big. You've got to protect him scheme-wise, which is more difficult with Cat. And it's been exposed in this series.
All right, well, let's talk about some data here. Okay, in this game, Jalen Brunson played 37 minutes. He was minus 16. Now, plus minus data, highly circumstantial, plus minus 16. Karl Towns played 37 minutes. He is plus 3. Only Nick in the starting lineup with a with a plus. When Karl Towns and Jalen Brunson have played together in this series over the first 5 games, over the first 4 games, they're minus 24. Okay. These are 2 all NBA players. They got them to the conference finals. These 2 guys as the engines. They are minus 24. In this game, they were minus 4. So when Brunson played without Towns, the Knicks got outscored by 12 points in this game. And when Towns played without Brunson, they were plus 7. Again, together, minus 4, and together in the series, minus 24. The Pacers have pretty regularly attacked them. And Bontemps, there's a number of reasons why the Knicks are behind. Some of it is just excellent Pacer play, but this is the reality. The reality is that their 2 best players, because of their defense and because of how the Pacers can attack them. And by the way, on the other side, Aaron Nesmith comes into this game, and Carlisle said after the game he wasn't sure. I don't know if he was having gamesmanship, but he said that he wasn't sure he was going to be able to play. He played 33 minutes, was very effective, and he was plus 20. And Nesmith being on the court, basically matching Brunson for most of that time, was a factor in that. But Bontemps, for as much as the Knicks have going for him, for as awesome as Brunson has been, like, this is something that, you know, you're going to have to deal with as if you're the Knicks. This is a reality about why you're having trouble in this series.
Yeah, I mean, it is a reality of the series. I also think this is just what Indiana's done to everybody. I mean, it's what they did to the Cavs. It's what they did to the Bucks. It's what they did last year. You know, they're an extraordinarily hard team to guard. And again, you know, if you have a lineup with 5 shooters at every spot and all of them are credible offensive threats, which this Indiana group is, like, it's just going to be really difficult for any team to guard them. And yes, the Knicks have had trouble with them. And yes, Jalen Brunson's had trouble with it. But, like, there's not really a fix for it. Like, other than the Knicks just have to guard better and they've had stretches in this series when they have done that. Like, Jalen Brunson was out there, I think, for the entire 3rd quarter of the last game, and the Knicks gave up 22 points. Karl Towns was the only big out there for the entire 4th quarter of the last game. They gave up 20 points, right? So they have shown
Towns' defensive numbers tonight were not bad. I think I'll look it up here, but I think they were 4 of 13 against him. I think.
Yeah, and Towns is also spending a lot of time out there without Haliburton, which is, I think, the bigger story than his defensive ability. Like, the Pacers got cooked whenever Haliburton wasn't on the court. So, you know, that's the bigger issue, is that when arguably as good an offensive player as there is in the league,
and that's the thing about plus minus, you can't overreact.
But the problem is the Knicks have not been able to find a consistent answer to stop Tyrese Haliburton. And there really hasn't been anybody that's found a consistent answer to stop Tyrese Haliburton. And that is why the Knicks are down 3-1 in the series. And that is why the Knicks have had trouble. Like, the Knicks they staggered Towns and Brunson today. They didn't have them playing together all the time. Like, Brunson had 31 points on decent efficiency in the game. He got wherever he wanted on the court. But, you know, Haliburton was unbelievable and was draining shots on him. Like, there's just not a lot else he could have really done on a lot of those shots. He was up in them decently, and Haliburton just made shots because he's an incredible player. So, you know, like that, I think if you're the Knicks,
it is interesting, you know, that Haliburton, he averaged 17 points a game in the regular season.
It was more than he averaged 18 and change, but yes.
Oh, okay. 18. Let's see what he was averaging in the postseason coming into tonight.
I want to say he was around 18 or 19, I think. Yeah, I mean, his point totals will wax and wane.
Yeah, 18 and a half. 18
he doesn't put up 30 every night, but when he starts hitting threes like he did tonight and starts getting in a rhythm, he can get as hot as anybody in the league. It's what he did in game 4 against Cleveland, when the backbreaking game of that series in the 2nd quarter. And it's what he did in the 1st quarter, especially in this game. He came right out and, I think, 12, 4, and 4 in the 1st quarter, immediately set a tone for how the game was going to go. And the Knicks took off, or the Pacers took right off from there.
Oh, yeah, and he's not a brilliant offensive player because of his scoring ability. It's because of the way he can set the pace and it's because he's one of, if not the best facilitator in the league. I mean, last year he led the league in assists, leading the playoffs in assists right now.
Yeah, he is. I think Jackson. How many points did he generate tonight? Was an assist. 30.
I mean, he had 32 points and had 15 assists. So that's a minimum of 62 points, and I'm sure several of those assists were
I'm
for
sure
threes.
several of those
So,
are threes.
Yeah,
and you
I
know,
think it was
and then
36 off his passes tonight.
and then
68 then.
And then he's also a big shot maker. I mean, he is a cojones factor reigning player of the month. Certainly, I would say
here
is
it
the
is.
front runner for
Sorry
the
to
cojones
interrupt
factor
you.
player of the year.
Is there going to be a player of the year? Because is that how you? I don't remember how we did it.
He said after the end of the regular season that he was done doing it, but now it might be coming back. It's like the criteria for the award. It's just everything's changing.
Hey, he's the boss of it. The
He
Pacers
is, that's
scored
true.
36 points on 15 of 23 off Tyrese Haliburton's passes tonight.
Yeah, it's pretty good. That's
15
pretty
to 23.
And
Like holy
look,
Moses. He
for
scores
whatever,
30 whatever, and they score 15 to 23 off his passes.
I mean, come on. With no turnovers. With no
yes, right,
turnovers.
with no
Good
turnovers.
God.
I mean, it's,
You know
it's
what?
almost,
The more we look at this, it's a miracle the Knicks only lost by 9. It's like
well,
the
that's
Wolves
the
last
thing.
night.
The Knicks played a very good game. Tyrese Haliburton truly had as good an offensive game as you could ever have in an NBA game. And to me,
I mean,
the Knicks
that's
losing.
a little bit of hyperbole, but it was a
It's
hell of a
not.
game.
It's not. To have 32 and 15 on efficient shooting with no turnovers, like you can't, there's really not, like, sure, he could have 70 points in a game. But when you're talking about playing an offensive game, it's as good as anybody, it's as good a game as you can have. It just is. So
I can present you some Joker games, but it's a
sure.
historically special game.
Yeah.
Historically
Okay.
special.
Sure. Again, it's as good a game as you can have. And if I'm the Knicks, if I'm looking at this game, the thing that I am harping on are the turnovers, especially. They just were really careless with the ball. Josh Hart threw several horrible passes that turned into turnovers. Mikal Bridges had a couple, at least one at the top of the key where he just threw it basically right into Tyrese Haliburton's hands when he was guarding him. Like, the Knicks are not going to be a fast breaking team. They're not going to win a shootout with the Pacers typically, even though they played pretty well offensively tonight. You cannot give up 17 turnovers. You cannot give up 20 points off turnovers because, again, Haliburton, even if he's not scoring the ball, isn't giving you turnovers. He's not giving the ball back.
He's got 6 turnovers in the 4 games.
Right.
Total.
I mean, he averages basically a turnover a game through the season. Maybe it's a turnover and a half. So, like, he's not giving the ball away, and he's going to have the ball 3/4 of the time. So, again, that's to me where the Knicks lost the game. Was just being, yes, the defense has to be better, but they've got to have 10 turnovers, and they've got to win the points off turnover battle. And if they do, they can give themselves a chance. If they don't, I don't see how they're winning game 5 or any other game in this series.
Well, and his turnovers have actually dropped every year that he's been in Indiana. 3.2, 2.5, 2.3, 1.6 this year. To play as fast as he does, and it's not like he doesn't throw, some passes through tight windows or passes that are traveling a lot of distance. It's not like he doesn't take calculated risks, but to protect the ball as well as he does as a guy who's racking up assists like that and being aggressive, it's incredible, man.
He actually talked about that. He actually talked about it after the game where somebody asked, I think it might have been our colleague Jamal Collier, asked him about, what is it about you that you have the ball so much and you don't turn it over? And he said, look, I know I jump a lot, and I probably jump more than just about any other player who passes as much as I do, but I practice that all the time. And I practice taking care of the ball, and it comes off in the way that he plays. And like, he just doesn't ever make a mistake when he's passing the ball. It's amazing.
Pacers are averaging 10 turnovers a game in this series, and game 1, as you remember, went to overtime. So there's a little bit of a juicing in there. So I think one game they had 7.
And by the way, not to get ahead of ourselves, we can. The teams can. We can. You're talking about a guy who is spectacular as a playmaker, protecting the ball, going up against the best the best defense period, but the best turnover forcing team in the league by a significant margin in the finals.
MacMahon and I were in the Target Center on Monday night, Memorial Day. to see the best game of that series so far, and the best game of the Thunder, this group of the Thunder, MacMahon, considering the stakes.
I mean, the best game? No. I mean, they've won by
statistically,
51.
Are you talking about the performance of their 3 young stars?
Yes.
That I would say yes.
The highest scoring playoff performance for that trio. And honestly, I thought it was an okay. It sounds crazy because Shea had 49 rebounds and 10 assists. I thought it was by his standards an okay game. It wasn't the most efficient in the world.
It was a B plus.
This was a big time game for their 2022 draft class.
Oh God,
that draft class is what elevated this team quickly into contender status. We've talked so much about it. Hey, can Jalen Williams be that number 2 guy on a title team? And this was a big time performance for him. He was spectacular. He's the one who set the tone early. He's the one who slammed the door late, was phenomenal in the fourth quarter, hit a bunch of big shots, was very efficient, and then Chet Holmgren was making plays all over the place. I thought it was probably Chet's best game of the series. And, it's like Shea said, man, he's 26. J-Dub's 24. Chet's 23. I think they're all still getting better, but especially, the younger 2 guys. But this was a huge game for Jalen Williams, who it's not been the smoothest playoffs for him, but he came through for him big time in Game 7, which didn't kind of float on the radar because it was a blowout. But this time they needed him, and he was awesome.
Big shot in Game 5 against Denver, which I think we potted that night, and I think Bontemps said that that win could end up being a defining moment in the playoffs. We'll see. But he had the game.
The defining moment of the playoffs. I think it was. And look, if you look at this game, like you said, MacMahon, I mean, he hit a couple huge shots late. I think he had 12 points in the fourth quarter, had 34 on 13 for 24 shooting, and 6 for 9 from 3, including a couple massive threes late.
The most threes he's ever made in a game.
Yeah, and that was look, like we talked about earlier, Minnesota played really well in this game. Like the discourse about Anthony Edwards was silly. He moved the ball because Oklahoma City made him move the ball. His teammates hit shots. He scored 126 points. I'm just saying,
a little bit.
The point is, Minnesota did well enough to win the game on most nights. And it took those 3 guys all playing like stars to win the game. And Jalen Williams doing that in that spot, I thought was a very big moment. Because, yes, he hit the big shot in Game 5, but stunk in the game. To your point, he had a really good Game 7, but most of it was in free air, pretty easy, even though it was a Game 7. To do it in this game where all the chips were down, you really put a hammerlock on the series if you win it on the road, coming back from a disastrous performance by the whole group in Game 3. Thought it was a huge moment for him, huge moment for the Thunder. And look, I certainly expect the series to be over tonight, Wednesday night, at home in Oklahoma City in Game 5.
It was a huge moment for Sam Presti because how much talk has there been about, hey, are they gonna cash in some of those picks? Are they gonna package it? Are they gonna get a co-star for Shea? And Presti has been patient. It wasn't just patient just to be patient. His patience was belief in Jalen Williams and belief in Chet Holmgren and belief that they had a championship caliber core already in place. They had the secondary stars already in place. And, Jalen Williams was named 3rd team All-NBA, was named 2nd team All-Defense, and just had the most important big-time performance of his career.
Suppose you got to give him the max now, don't you think?
Well, I think you're going to have to probably do that regardless. The question is it going to be Supermax eligible? And by the way, that's also a question for Chet, who he wasn't award eligible this year, but I think there's a very good chance he can be in those either All-NBA or Defensive Player of the Year conversations next year.
Well, that's a topic for another day, but the performance by the Thunder's defense in this game on Ant Edwards was impressive because they double teamed him on 100% of his drives. Every time.
Yeah, they're packing the paint.
He drove the ball to the paint. Every single time he was double teamed, sometimes triple teamed. And on 91, I think it was 91% of his possessions, he got a help defender.
Yeah, Dagenhall would say the priority is making him play in a crowd. And they that was the priority, and that was the execution.
It was actually interesting. So, yeah, before the game, Chris Finch, they ran sound of him speaking to the team, and he was telling the Wolves pregame in the locker room, our goal here is to shut off Haliburton, or shut off Holmgren, and shut off Williams. That's our goal. So that was their strategy, was to make Shea beat them. Okay. That was the Wolves strategy. Obviously, the Thunder strategy was anybody but Ant. We had two teams operating
like anybody else. Yeah.
Right. In different strategies.
Well, anybody but Ant and Randall. And look, Ant and Randall combined for 20 shots. Forget points. Points was 21, but only 20 shot attempts. And, the Thunder said, hey, we've got to be better as far as not giving up as good of looks to their role players. But, dude, their role players lit it up. I mean, DiVincenzo, 5 of 8 from 3. Nickeil Alexander-Walker was awesome. He was 5 of 8 from 3.
His career.
Yeah, Jaden McDaniels, 3 of 6. But they got 44 points out of DiVincenzo and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Those guys made the Thunder pay for, they're for selling out to not let Ant and Randall get in a groove. But the Timberwolves scored 126 points against the best defense in the NBA. They did not lose this game because of their offense. They did not lose this game because Ant didn't take over or whatever. They scored 126 points.
That's right.
They lost it because they couldn't stop OKC. They lost it. They couldn't stop Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren.
They had 23 turnovers. Where have you heard this before? They had 23 turnovers, and they allowed 19 offensive rebounds, which is really hard to understand.
Well, both teams were insane on the offensive glass.
That's true. Well, at the end of the day, I think the Wolves actually had more offensive rebounds than the Thunder.
Did.
But
it was crazy how many offensive rebounds there were on both sides.
There was a moment in the third quarter of this game where the Thunder had 23 more shots than the Wolves.
Yikes.
Now, the Wolves had a good fourth quarter. By the way,
they scored 41 in the fourth quarter.
I know. I kept hearing people criticize, well, Ant was 2 of 6 in the fourth. I was like, they scored 41 points in the fourth.
Yeah, again.
The criticism should be for example, Jaden McDaniels having 2 horrendous defensive possessions in the final couple minutes, including on the one wing 3 that Jalen Williams hit that ended up being the dagger, where Jay had the ball at the top of the key, and Jaden McDaniels just basically stood there, didn't guard anybody, and watched Jalen Williams just run away from him to the wing and just have the easiest catch-and-shoot practice 3 of all time. That was a much bigger reason why they lost the game, because Anthony Edwards passed the ball because he's being
Jaden McDaniels also made this relatively slick spin move on offense, thinking he freed himself from Chet Holmgren, and that basket was 99% made. He skits a spin move on, spins left, which you wouldn't expect because he's right-handed. Spins left, puts the ball right 1 inch from the glass, and Chet comes right over the top and cleanly blocks it in one of the signature moments of Chet's early career, because it was a huge possession at the time. But the Wolves actually got it down. I think at the end of the game, the shot differential was only 11, which is not good. But
no,
that's the Thunder method, is the possession game, and 23 more shots. I mean, that's where the game's at. Forget about Ant passing to the corner.
Yes.
No,
it's about the math.
And look,
the Thunder play the math game just like Indiana does in a lot of ways. I mean, it's again, we keep talking about it, but in different ways, they do a lot of the same things.
And you can say, hey, there are spots where you'd like to see Ant be more aggressive, but I don't want Ant to go jack up 25 terrible shots just for the sake of jacking up shots. Like, Finch has tried to coach him away, has successfully coached him away from defaulting to hero ball. I'm not going to hammer a guy for making the right reads and getting off the ball and his teammates knocking down good looks in a game that they scored 126 points. If you want to criticize Ant, you say, hey, Ant's too good of a player not to make an impact, even if he's not scoring. Like, create some havoc on defense or, whatever else. But like, I'm not going to hammer the guy because the attention to him kept creating open threes for his teammates, and that he was willing to let them, to give the ball up and let them get those shots.
Per our ESPN website, which I'm looking at right now, Minnesota had an offensive rating in that game, 133.2 against the best defense in the league by a mile. So no, the offense was not the problem.
Right.
What do you suppose? I don't know. What do you suppose team's record is all time in the playoffs with 130 offensive rating?
I guess it's pretty high. I don't know what the number is, but I guess it's pretty damn high.
Yeah.
Well,
and I mean, listen, it was the second straight game that they scorched the best defense in the NBA, 143 in the game before that when Ant was hyper aggressive. And, one of the Thunder's adjustments was, hey, the hell with that. He ain't going to beat us.
Well, the Thunder definitely played it cool after the game. They definitely acted like they'd been there before. Their demeanor as an organization was very flat.
That's what they do. Get back to neutral. That's part of the Thunder jargon.
Mark Daigneault had a great quote when Malika Andrews asked, what did you learn about your team? He said nothing. It was as good of a quote as you're getting from Dag. And I was like,
is that an authorized nickname?
That's not true. You learned about Jalen Williams, but it was a great quote.
Yeah.
I liked it. But yet when you were walking down the hall and you would see people in the Thunder party and you would look at him in the eye, there was a little fire there. They may not have been showing it on the outside, but they were like, oh boy, that's what we were cooking up. That's what we've been looking for.
And I would say that they're not celebrating.
No,
they're smelling blood. Not. And dude, again, the runway for the Thunder, they're in the moment now.
Yeah.
I understand that. We can look big picture here, long term. The runway for this franchise is ridiculous. Now, they'll have some payroll decisions. We don't need to delve into those. But again, they're big three, and it is a big three. 26, 24, 23. And the 23-year-old, there's some obviously durability issues, but also like he's just a year and a half into his NBA experience. That's how much experience he has. The 24-year-old gets significantly better every single season. Like going back to, being an unheralded recruit going into Santa Clara.
Let's just say it very simply. The Thunder are set up to be the dominant team in the NBA for the rest of the decade. Doesn't mean they will be, doesn't mean they have to be, but that's what they are. They are set up to dominate the league for the rest of the decade.
I remember going to the game where LeBron broke Kareem's scoring record. They played the Thunder. The Thunder won that night. And the best player on the floor was Jalen Williams. He was a rookie.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this guy is really, really good.
And by the way, they're all two-way players.
I know.
Yep.
And they've got 1,000,007 picks to play with.
Yeah, I mean, they are set up to dominate the league for the next 6 years, including this season, the next 5 years through 2030. Like, that's just where it sits. We'll see if they do. Yeah. Got to stay healthy. Got to get lucky, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They got to get 5 more wins. But yes, if you're looking big picture,
well, I got to tell you,
that's what's ahead.
This town, the Thunder, how many houses do you think have Thunder paraphernalia outside them, MacMahon? It's at least 50%.
I'm in the storefronts and all that kind of stuff.
You go past apartment buildings and like half of the balconies have Thunder flags. Yeah. Today, when I got to the airport, the Uber driver opened up his trunk and he had a Thunder flag draped from the back, like inside back mirror, so that the Thunder flag draped down. Like that's how you were welcomed with the Uber driver at the airport.
And the atmosphere in the arena is insane. Like, not only are they all wearing their T-shirts, they are in their seats, loud, ready to rock and roll when the
Yes,
layup
they
line
are.
start. Like, forget about opening tip.
Yeah,
They're
I mean
and
this.
boy, that pregame prayer hits, and they're it's go time, baby.
Man, I mean, this town is absolutely ready to explode. So, but
Dude,
more work to be
3
done.
a.m. There was like 800 or 1,000 people at the airport welcoming them back last
There
night.
was a
Yeah.
thunderstorm that hit Oklahoma City in the middle of the night, so the Thunder had to circle. They took off after the game, took off around 11:30 midnight, and it's about an hour 45-minute flight, but it took them like almost 3 hours because they had to circle out over southeastern Oklahoma while the storm passed, and then they landed. And those folks waited through the rain. I don't care if there were 20 people there.
I'm
There were
telling you.
hundreds. To greet him at the airport. No one greeted me at the airport today, except for the guy with the Thunder flag.
Well, that was nice.
Do we like these series to extend to a game 6, either one of them, Bontemps?
I think you guys are going to be going home Thursday
Mhm.
morning. I don't think the Thunder are losing on their home court the way this thing is played out. I do think the series is coming back here for game 6. I mean, this series has been very competitive.
I
Again,
agree.
even this game, the way this game went, the Pacers were truly incredible offensively in this game. The Knicks still hung around. It was a 6-point game with a couple minutes to go. I think on their home court, down 3-1, I think the Knicks find a way to get a win. And then that sets up what should be a truly unbelievable atmosphere here in Indiana, Saturday night, 8 o'clock tip, all day to get ready for it. And we'll see if the Pacers can close this thing out. But yeah, I wouldn't shock me if Indiana comes in there and wins, given the way they've played on the road in the playoffs and in this series. But I suspect this one goes 6. And I don't know what you guys think. You've been around that series. I'll be very surprised if the Thunder don't get this thing done Wednesday night, lock this thing up.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the Knicks' chances. I'm not like certain on it. I wouldn't like put a mortgage payment down on it or anything like that. I'd be very surprised if the Wolves were able to get another game in Minnesota this season. You know, they were putting that or they're pulling the floor up as I was doing my Australia. ESPN Australia.
Well, it's because they put down the Lynx floor. I was there today at the arena doing NBA Today. It was because they put down the Lynx floor.
Well, but my point is that as that was happening, I was saying I don't think they're going to put this floor back down this season. They had the role players' jump shots have not traveled so far in the series for Minnesota, and if that's the case again in Game 5, forget about it.
Well, that's a good point because I don't see any reason why the Thunder are changing their defense on Ant.
No,
No.
I mean, this is
you'll
what
see
they
Ant.
do.
You'll see Ant getting double teamed every single time. Maybe they'll do some more ISO with him so that it's harder to bring the double team. I expect him to try to answer any criticism by, getting up more shots or whatever, but it's not, I mean, it's, what you're looking for is a replication of the role players to deliver. And that's a big ask. Julius Randle obviously needs to play better. But
Yeah, and Finch's thing with Ant is they've got to play him off the ball more. They've got to run
this is the
stuff so
thing.
it's not a loaded up defense just waiting on them.
So I think some of the way to do this is play through Randle more. Randle averaged 7 assists, 7.5 assists the last series. He only's averaging 3 or maybe even 4 this, maybe 3 or I think 3 assists.
A tough matchup for Julius.
I know.
Well, and again, that
that's
gets back to
just like the Pacers offense, the Thunder defense makes a lot of people look bad. Like it's just the way it is.
You're right.
well,
The
and
Pacer
they
offense
can
make the
throw.
Thunder defense look bad.
Listen,
Well,
Jalen Williams, second team all defense. Lou Dort, first team all defense. Those guys are, guarding both of the stars. Alex Caruso, certainly an all defensive guy in the past and still of that caliber. They throw him in the mix. He can guard either one of those dudes or just be the most devastating help defender probably in the playoffs. So,
By the way, check out our colleague Ramona Shelburne. She did a really nice piece on Lou Dort on ESPN.com. I saw Lou last night, and I congratulated him on making first team all defense. And he said, "Did I have your vote?" And I said, "You had my vote last year."
Oh,
Yeah.
you just ahead of the trend.
Well, that's how I roll.
Brown nose and special, right there.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I'm brown nose and Lou Dort. Yeah, that's my
I
MO.
mean, the man asked him a question when he provided a factual answer.
Yeah. Well, we've got some news.
Ooh,
Mark your
we do.
calendars. MacMahon, do you still have a calendar that you write on? You know,
I've got one of them fancy ones on my telephone.
Oh, look at you. What do you got going on July 12th?
Oh, I'm going to be in Vegas. There's going to be a fella named Cooper Flagg playing at least 1 or 2 games, I would think, for the old Maverick Summer League team. Just going to be hanging out. What are you going to be doing?
I'm going to be in Vegas. I haven't been to Summer League in years, but somehow I agreed.
How did you not go when your Discovery Wemby was there?
Was covering Team USA. Actually, I didn't even go for that. Bontemps went for that. You always go.
That's
that
right.
For me.
I was at both things.
We won't say Bontemps is making it. We won't give the details, but Bontemps is going to make an extreme effort. Make sure he's there because on Saturday
I will be at the live show. Yes,
you will be at the live show after making an extreme journey.
Wait, there's a live show?
Yes. So here it is. July 12th, Saturday night, July 12th, 6 p.m. Vegas time at the Brad Garrett Comedy Club at MGM Grand.
Sweet. Is
going to be the 3rd annual, because we're pretty much doing one a year. That's all I'm signing up for. The 3rd annual Hoop Collective live show. And you can get tickets at hooplive.eventbrite.com. I think the link will be live by the time this posts, and if it's not, give it a minute. Well, I'm sure we'll have some guests. I'm not promising anything, but Summer League will be going on, so I'm sure we'll have some good guests. And come spend the evening with us. It'll be over relatively early. You can hit the strip. It'll be done. I don't stay up late, so it won't be that long.
I'll have adult supervision. The IT department's going to be there.
Rightfully so. I wouldn't
She doesn't miss a live show. Although she got a little had to tame her down a little bit in Akron.
Yeah. I was ready to be done at 7:30 in Akron, much less Vegas.
Much less Vegas.
All right. So mark it down. Come join us. We'll have a good time. And Jackson will be there too. He's really going to be the star of the show. So, all right. So that's it here on the Hoop Collective. Thank you for watching and listening. Thank you to Jackson, our producer. Thank you to Bontemps. Thank you to MacMahon. And hey, we'll talk to you next week.
Adios, amigos.